In a high school, these delinquent students seem to be waiting for someone to arrive. They are also equipped with weapons. From afar, someone was seen coming, and it seemed like he was alone in coming to this place. Then these delinquents got ready to fight. This person told not to be afraid when facing that person. But it looks like one of them knows that person. It's impossible for them to beat him, because that person is Park Hanjun. Not long after, Han-jun immediately ran quickly towards them, and kicked so hard that the person flew away. After seeing one of their colleagues lose in one kick, this made them shocked and scared, but they tried to have the courage to fight Han-jun. Unexpectedly, they all lost to Han-jun, and he didn't suffer the slightest injury. Elsewhere, Seohyun is monitoring Park Hanjun's assignments. It can be seen in the report that Han-jun has completed his assignments at Dongsan High School. Then in the next report she's surprised, because Nam In-soo and Kim Dong-yeon had also completed their tasks well. Of course for Jung-woo, this is an easy thing for them, but he is still thinking about something. Seohyun was curious about what Jung-woo was thinking. It looked like he was concentrating on one thing and needed focus. It seemed like he had found a way out. Jung-woo's reaction suddenly made her shocked and confused, and he tried to explain what he was thinking. He already knew what Kim Kyun-soo had been looking for all this time. The Pascal, #1 on the Play Store in just 3 hours of its release, and over the last week, the connection has continued, and as a result, the company's stock price has increased drastically 6 times. Seohyun still doesn't understand any of it. Then Jung-woo confirms that what's certain is that this act from Nexus, and the mastermind behind that is Kim Kyun-soo. Elsewhere, Moon-gil informs them that Park Hanjun's gang has taken over their schools. He accepts them one by one. Then from the rumors circulating, Nexus started to be afraid of Park Hanjun. Now everyone thinks it's better for us to avoid war, and if this continues, it will be difficult to control delinquent. Seeing this, Moon-gil can't just stay silent. He needs order for that. Kyun-soo also spoke to his colleague Ryan, asking how much time they had left. Then Ryan answered that in 1 week their plan would be completed. Then Kyun-soo seemed to choose to play it safe, and ordered Moon-gil not to start war for just 1 week. After that he would take care of it. Kyun-soo thinks that if they can just hold off the war for a week, then they will have 100 billion won in hand. It seems here Moon-gil has an idea that he has a way to stop them, and entrusts it to him. Elsewhere, Seohyun is giving instructions for their next job. She also gives assignments to Han-jun and In-soo to complete the school that was just discussed. Then Dong-yeon will also be given assignments. Dong-yeon is going to Dongtaek High School. There is a student named Choi Baekhyun. There is nothing special about this person. He only studies MMA. According to her, it's just a small thing and can be solved easily. The meeting is finally over. They finally left, but here Dong-yeon knew that something was wrong with Seohyun while discussing Dongtaek's high school. On the way home, Dong-yeon met Seohyun to ask for clarity regarding him being assigned to Dongtaek High School and what actually happened at the school. Here she was taking him somewhere else, and it seemed like there was something she wanted to talk about. Seohyun finally told Dong-yeon her past, that 2 years ago she was an early member of Nexus. Seohyun also told about her past, her bad childhood, because when she was little her parents often fought because her father was bad. She and her younger brother could only cry seeing their father's behavior. This was because her father cheated, so he left his family, and her mother always worked hard to raise Seohyun and his younger siblings. Her family did not show any hope that it would change for the better. She hated the house, but her mother still trusted Seohyun. Younger brother was also a little worried about the current condition of his mother and older sister. On the outside, she is a mischievous student because she makes trouble with her motorbike, so she has to deal with the police. She joined the Nexus because of the feeling of wanting to be recognized and the feeling of mutual protection. That's what she liked about the Nexus. Until finally she was arrested by the police. But there she was released because she was still a minor, and Seohyun's homeroom teacher was the one who vouched for her. On the way home, Seohyun planned to leave school, but it seemed that her teacher didn't care about that either. But he knew that up to now, Seohyun still often studies even though she plans to leave school. This was seen when her math test result got 80. For that teacher, she could have gotten a perfect score if she studied better. And the teacher also told her, if Seohyun wants to study, then just do it. Don't lie to herself. He also brought her lots of books, whatever she wants stored or thrown away. That teacher also told her that Seohyun's life was her responsibility, but he still hoped to keep coming to school until she was expelled and stop causing trouble again. Seohyun, who heard the teacher's words, could only remain silent. Until now, she is still confused by her teacher's words. At the same time, she sees something bad at the place where the Nexus members were gathered. But there was one member who was trying to bully a middle school student, and that person seemed to be going too far. That person did a disgraceful act towards the middle school student. Seeing this made her angry. Seohyun held the helmet as she approached the person, and finally threw it hard at that person. She was angry because he acted too excessively towards middle school kids. Seeing what Seohyun did, this man immediately got up and looked like he was very angry about it. This person immediately replied to Seohyun, because all the punks here definitely don't live like what she thinks. Suddenly from a distance, there was a man beating all the delinquents there, and looked like he wanted to save her. The mysterious man had good fighting techniques. He threw a baseball bat at his opponent as a substitute, then finished them off with one strong blow. They were defeated until his came to this person. He took the helmet, then immediately approached her. It was still unclear who the man was from afar, until finally Seohyun knew who the man was, and it turned out he was her younger brother. Such a drastic change, both in appearance and physical. This person looked annoyed and immediately attacked him with his fists, but his attack was easily read, then grabbed his legs, then directly dropped him to the ground hard. After dropped him on the ground, he immediately hit him hard with his left hand, then followed it up with a right hand using a helmet. Seeing this, Seohyun was shocked that it was true, that the man was Baekhyun's younger brother. Hyun's cruel actions shocked and scared them, especially Seohyun, as if she couldn't believe that her younger brother had gone this far. After doing that, he introduced himself to the Nexus members, that now he is the new branch manager of Gangdong Choi Baekhyun. Choi Baekhyun is Choi Seohyun's younger brother and is very different from her. He has always been an obedient and good kid, until when he was bullied at school. Every day at school he was treated very badly by delinquent students. But there Hyun didn't reply. He just remained silent until the student mentioned his sister. When he heard that, his anger was immediately vented, but that was still not enough. For Hyun right now, his family left him and the school doesn't let him live a normal life. Then in his mind right now, he has nobody, so now he's trying to survive. He must become strong and will not let anyone do whatever to him again. If he has to go through despicable, then he will go through it in order to survive in a harsh environment. At that time, Hyun managed to defeat all the delinquent students, but the whole school was talking about him. Because of this, Hyun and his sister name was tarnished bad at school. Until a student asked him to join Nexus, but to join Nexus there were conditions that were not easy. He doesn't care who orders him. The most important thing is he has to eliminate, then he is the one on top. That's the story of when he joined the Nexus, so he became a feared person. Until one day he encountered a complicated problem. At that time, the group from Nexus was trapped by the enemy's plan. Hyun, who was there, was caught in the enemy's trap and had to fight them all. For him, whatever problem he faces, he will not run away, if it means falling into the enemy's trap and fighting them all. Until the fight reached nightfall and his body reached its limit in fighting. These people managed to call for reinforcements, and Han-jun reached his limit and couldn't fight anymore. He lost that night. His condition was already desperate, and his body didn't want to move anymore because he had reached his limit. Danger was soon approaching him. Suddenly, there was someone with white hair who saved him from this situation. It turned out he was Kim Cheon-soo. Han-jun was shocked after being saved. He got news that there were members who were useful in this area and were fighting in such conditions. Then Han-jun introduced himself. That was the beginning of his meeting with Kim Cheon-soo. When they heard the name Kim Cheon-soo, they were scared, but they tried to fight that fear and try to attack Cheon-soo. In Han-jun's heart right now, he hates seeing the backs of people like his father and sister, who abandoned their family, then the punks who looked down on him. But when he saw this man, it felt different. This was the first time he saw him. That's when Han-jun promised himself that he would follow that person. But here Seohyun still doesn't know why her brother joined Nexus. For Han-jun, she doesn't need to know this, and what is certain is that he was asked by Cheon-soo to become a manager at this branch. Then he told his sister not to get in Kim Cheon-soo's way. Even if it was from his family, then he will do something reckless. Here they are discussing something. According to Han-jun, the teachers cannot be invited to cooperate with the Nexus. Then behind this, there is a more basic reason, which means the teachers at his school are not afraid of the Nexus at all. He cannot allow it and will plan something to the teachers. But it seems like someone doesn't like Han-jun's way of bossing around. This senior doesn't seem to like him and is trying to challenge him. Not long after that, Han-jun immediately fought his senior. He was hit with a stick until he fell, then attacked the senior's leg. Can see that the other members who saw Han-jun's looked afraid and didn't dare to fight him for him. If no one likes him, just say so. After that, he ordered everyone to get ready to carry out the plan. Seeing her younger brother acting like that, Seohyun could only remain silent. Then at night a teacher was shocked by what she saw. This was all Choi Baekhyun's doing. He started to harass the teachers. He was very cunning and full of revenge. He would not forgive those who were even close to the teachers. Then the teachers started to resign. Many teachers have resigned, but not for Seohyun's teacher. He prefers to stay, because for him, if the teacher gets into trouble, then they can resign. But not the students. They could be in danger. So now it's his job, is taking care of them. In the evening, Seohyun tried to call her teacher, but there was no reply. This made her worried, but not long after, she was too late for the teacher to try and oppose, then it had crossed the line. But fortunately, the teacher was fine after being treated in hospital. But that day, Seohyun regretted joining Nexus and started to hate the group. So he decided to come out and take responsibility for destroying the Nexus. So she asked Dong-yeon not to rush to finish off her younger brother in the fight later. But for Dong-yeon, he will try to fix Han-jun. The next day they immediately carried out their work, starting with Park Hanjun, who had successfully completed his task well. Then In-soo also carried out his duties well. But Dong-yeon seemed a little late. He had already arrived there and would finish this quickly. But when he was shocked, because there were no them at all. He was confused about where the people were. On the other side, Seohyun was going somewhere else. While traveling, she was suddenly stopped by someone, and when she saw that the person was in danger, she immediately stopped. Unexpectedly, she only pretended to be in danger, and it seemed Seohyun fell into the enemy's trap. Sure enough, she was surrounded by several people. Then he was asked to go along and not make any noise. But Seohyun didn't just stay silent. She tried to fight with her helmet. Resistance ensued. She tried to fight back with her efforts. But at the same time, someone punched her until she fell, making her unable to move anymore. Seohyun is currently unconscious, and she is in danger now. Somewhere in the city center, Seohyun realized, but she was kidnapped and was being locked up. She kept banging on the door. Han-jun came to check and got a report that she had been acting like that for 2 hours. He immediately emphasized to his sister not to make noise for 5 days, then she would be safe. If she defied, then he couldn't guarantee it. He also explained again, never get in Kim Kyun-soo's way. Hearing her brother's words, she couldn't help but smile. But Seohyun also gave words of intimidation, that her brother would also be in a bad condition in the future. Elsewhere, Mongil reported to Cheon-soo that Choi Seohyun had been arrested. This was done because Park Hanjun's gang was also loyal. They were now on their final plan. On the other side, they have received news that Seohyun has been kidnapped. Because of this, they have to be careful in their actions in the future. If this situation continues, then Kim Cheon-soo's wealth will continue to grow until they can't stop it. Even if this is risky, they have to keep fighting the Nexus. Then In-soo gave his opinion. That wasn't this already a defeat for them, because manipulating Cheon-soo's shares wouldn't be finished just by attacking the Nexus, and the stock was also high. For Junwoo, what In-soo said was true, that they still haven't lost, because there is one thing that is certain. If they work, they usually do it dirty, and they always win, so there's no need to worry that this game will continue. He explained the reason that Nexus, through stock manipulation, the game company's stock up 8 times, but Nexus was still trying to buy time, which meant their plan was still not finished, and Cheon-soo's final plan was short selling. Hearing that, Han-jun didn't understand Junwoo's words. Simply, they borrow stock, buy it, and when they want to pay it back, they buy back their shares, then pay it back to the borrower with shares, because they are also betting on the fall in the price of shares. If the price of shares is higher, when they are willing to pay it more than that when they borrow it. Which means Cheon-soo is betting on short selling to maximize his income by lowering the stock price. According to the information that Junwoo got, the remaining time for Nexus return is 5 days, and to lower the stock price, Kim Kyun-soo plans to delete the game and lower the rate, then make a refund on the game. Until then, he needs the effect of Nexus. Now their job is to stop things there. But it looks like Dong-yeon is still worried about Seohyun's condition. Of course, they will also save Seohyun, because she has been fitted with a location detection device, and they can save her at any time. Hearing this, he was shocked. For him, why was something this important just being told? But it could be seen from their expressions that Dong-yeon was acting strange, and it seemed like he liked Seohyun. Dong-yeon looked embarrassed about that. He avoided it. Whoever was kidnapped had to be rescued as soon as possible. They also didn't have much time left, but Han-jun still didn't understand about this. But they don't have time to think, and will find the answers themselves while beating the Nexus. It's true that all they have to do is go and fight. Then the one who will think and solve financial problems is Junwoo's job. Finally, they arrived at their destination. Han-jun and Dong-yeon forced their way inside, but there were already many people gathered there. They were shocked. How did they find this place? But their job was just to beat up whoever it was. Then Han-jun told Dong-yeon to go first, and he would open the path for that. Han-jun's blow opened the way for them. Then they started climbing the stairs and eliminating all the enemies who got in their way. He also reported this to Hyeon. Park Hanjun and Kim Dong-yeon had managed to enter this place. Hearing this, he panicked. Then Seohyun explained they knew this place because there was a tracking device attached to it. This was the end for Hyeon. Then Hyeon started to talk his sisters and said that they were the ones who would end up in this place. They also worked together to finish off the enemy, with Han-jun leading the way and Dong-yeon finishing off the rest. Finally he arrived, but the situation there was not as expected. Seohyun was currently being held captive by her own brother. He was asked not to approach her, and this was the last chance, then asked to immediately surrender now, and see that family relationship was indeed very bad. Not long after, Seohyun took advantage of the gap, taking advantage of her brother's negligence, and then hit his hard. After that, Dong-yeon wouldn't let go of this opportunity, and he immediately ran forward, then kicked him hard until he bounced forward. It can be seen that in this fight Hyeon is not calm, because the pressure is from Cheon-soo. Then this time the opponent is difficult to deal. He also used dirty methods in fighting by using objects around him, then immediately attacked Dong-yeon with these objects. Hyeon didn't care about that and continued to attack Dong-yeon. He also used his knuckles to attack. This made Dong-yeon a little surprised because he used his knuckles to attack. The attack was avoided, but the effect of his knuckle fist destroyed the wall. Then Dong-yeon also managed to avoid the follow-up attack. Until in the end, the fist that was thrown at him was successfully holding using his feet. After holding back using his feet, he immediately kicked Hyeon's hand. For Dong-yeon, he was just being used by Kim Cheon-soo, and this made him angry. Hyeon also took advantage of the cracks in the walls around him to attack Dong-yeon, throwing rocks at him, but he managed to dodge them quickly. After avoiding this, Dong-yeon, who saw an opening, immediately kicked Hyeon in the stomach, then continued his attack of punches straight to the face. Here Dong-yeon tries to convince Hyeon that he knows Hyeon is looking for a living, but is this situation really what he wants? Actually, Kim Cheon-soo doesn't care about Hyeon at all. That's why he ordered to buy time and kidnap his older sister. Dong-yeon was confused about Hyeon, why he was still following a rotten person like Kim Cheon-soo until now. Hearing this, he seemed angry and tried to attack. Even though Dong-yeon doesn't know Hyeon's past life, he knows that the steps he took were wrong. At the same time, he tries to see his identity again, that in principle he must become stronger to survive, and in that process he meets Kim Cheon-soo. He shows him a path in his life that is empty. Of course that path is not the right path, but for him it didn't matter because he had swear to follow it, even though it was strange, hard and annoying. Inside him there is only darkness. He has only known darkness all his life. When he saw Cheon-soo, for him he was light. This was for his sake. Hyeon was still trying to get up for Cheon-soo's sake. He forced his body to get up, even though he had a lot of wounds. He ran towards Dong-yeon to immediately attack him. It seemed that this makes Seohyun annoyed. With his body covered in wounds, of course his attacks could be read easily. Dong-yeon attacked back, but he was still determined and tried to get up. Dong-yeon continued to attack Hyeon to get him to give up, but his determination was still strong. Even though he was battered, he still tried to get up. When she saw Hyeon being beaten badly, Seohyun remembered her childhood with her younger brother. In her mind, maybe this was her fault too, who at that time ignored her family, so that his younger brother could plunge into the underworld. Still, even though he had been hit several times, Hyeon was still trying to get back up. It was already difficult for him to even stand up. Seohyun patted Dong-yeon's shoulder to stop. Unexpectedly, Seohyun immediately slapped Hyeon hard, which made him not believe this. When he saw Seohyun, he was shocked. It turned out that his older sister was crying because of him. It seemed like she couldn't bear her younger brother's condition like this and told him to stop. Here she tries to convince her younger brother that the Nexus forces someone to walk with a limp throughout his life. Then someone loses all his wealth and others lose friends who feel like family. It's clear that the Nexus only takes advantage of her younger brother. Seohyun told him to stop, and for Dong-yeon it wasn't too late for him. He could still start all over again. Dong-yeon also offered him a handshake. His past and current self were different. He had chosen his own choice. They shook hands with each other, indicating that Hyeon had made his choice at this time. It turned out that the handshake was just a trick, and his choice now was to stay on Kim Cheon-soo's path. Then he took advantage of this opportunity to escape from the situation. Dong-yeon bets it will be harder than years, but after Kim Cheon-soo leaves him, he will experience losing everything twice.